All right. 5 out of 10. I was like not looking forward to this at all. I was like, oh, it's another procedural with some kind of a twist. I will give it this though. I don't think there was. I don't think at least I hadn't heard of one where the assistant was a magician. So I mean that was it wasn't like excuse me, like scraping the bottom of the barrel with just like someone that's going to provide comedy because he's like so not fit for uh policing, or someone who's so fit for policing but isn't a police officer. Like that's typically what it is. They're either trying to have someone for the straight person to play off of slash some straight person for the funny to play off of, or someone incredibly smart that probably like messed up or something and isn't a cop, maybe wanted to be a cop but couldn't be. But usually that's all. So I don't think I'd ever seen a magician before, and so I gave it that. But I went in, I was fully expecting. I mean, it had like a, I mean, it was at 60 the first time I checked the Rotten Tomatoes score, which was like a couple days ago maybe, and then I think I was this morning I checked and it said 67. Then I clicked on it and it was like 50 something, and I was like, that makes a lot more sense. So the last I think I've seen it was at like 50 maybe or 50 something, and so I was like, okay, it's not gonna be that good, but it might be a little bit above because it's a magician, but it's still not going to be that good. And some people watched it last night, but not a lot, and it's going to go down, especially considering that it's on Sundays. So, anyways, I went in not expecting anything at all, and I was just like, I just got to watch this. And I'll admit, the very first scene I thought was pretty good, and even thinking about it now, it's not as good. But when you're expecting to not like this at all, like remotely, even remotely, and then you love the first scene as much as I did, I thought it was a lot better than I expected. And then it kind of dropped off, but then something happened and it picked back up. And then it just kind of lost me. There was one more thing that happened, but after that, it just really lost me. Um, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say that after like the opening, it cut to 1 year later, and I really just should have known from then on that I should have just stopped watching halfway through. I mean, now that I've seen the whole thing, I'm kind of invested enough that I don't think I'm gonna watch more episodes, but I think I'll like try to keep up with it and find out what happens, and then if it intrigues me, maybe I'll start watching. But I highly doubt that it will. Um, but yeah, an actually okay start. Then it gets bad, and by the end, it's just awful. It starts out, and I almost thought that it wasn't a procedural, but then he went to a crime scene, and I was like, oh, this is kind of procedurally, but it was still relevant to the serialized plot. And I was like, okay, maybe that's all it's going to be, and then he'll do that. But then the way that they did it, because they did end up working together, because it's a procedural, it was just a typical procedural thing. And I was like, really? And then I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Are they gonna? Is this just the start, and then it's gonna be serialized? Nope. I saw a preview for next week's, and it looks like it's going to be like every other procedural where it's got a little bit at the beginning and maybe in the middle, maybe interspersed throughout if it's feeling like it, of serialized, and then it's just a procedural the rest of the time. It's like, oh man, we got to find what's his face. Oh, but we can't right now, so here's our case of the week. It's the same thing every week, just some different people. And then in the middle, it's like, this'll help with whatever. And then at the end, we've made a breakthrough. Here's the advancement on this, and then cliffhanger. And it's like you don't even care because you know it's not going to be addressed fast because they're not serialized, and so I don't know. But here's what I'll give it. Jack Cutmore Scott, I believe is his name. Um, he was Cooper Barrett and Cooper Barrett's Guide to Surviving Life, and that first episode was decent. I bet if I watched it again, I wouldn't like it that much. And then the series sucked and it was canceled, obviously. And then he was in Kingsman and Dunkirk. So like he's not huge, but I know him because I'm watching basically everything. He probably gives his best performance because in Cooper Barrett he was like it was kind of typical, but I guess the performance was fine. I guess this character is not as typical. You don't see as many magicians as you do a kid in like college doing crazy stuff. Um, he gives an okay performance. It's not great, but it's better than I expected. Although I did expect him to be British because I believe that he's British. I mean, he was in Kingsman and Dunkirk with an accent. So, well, I don't know if he talked in Dunkirk, but that's a mainly British movie. So, um, or whatever. I just make it easier. But he's American, so I think it might have worked a little better if he was British, but also it just would have probably seemed even more cliched. But he was okay. The big thing, though, what made a lot of the start really good was there was a lot of cast that was like my personal fan favorites. Like, for example, Vinnie Jones from like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and stuff like that. Euro Trip, the big guy that has the accent, and he's like the muscle guy that's, I don't know, but he's part of the Manchester United fan club. Well, I mean, he's not part of the Manchester United fan club, but they're fans of Manchester United and Euro Trip, and then like he's a actual character that's shown more in the Guy Ritchie movies, but he's in there. And then Justin Chon, who I like from YouTube, and then I liked him in 21 and Over, and I'm looking at my DVD of it right now. And then he apparently did a really good movie last year that I'm waiting to see. So I like him. And then this other British girl that I kind of recognize from like a couple things, I think from the canceled show A to Z, and then a couple other things, and I like her enough. But then 2 people from Mr. Robot. Vera from Mr. Robot is in it, and Joanna from Mr. Robot is in it. And Vera, whatever, he was fine. But Joanna wasn't that good either, but just like, I can't spoil anything. But she was pretty good, but not good. But Vera was just kind of whatever. So it kind of hooked me from the start. I was like, this is okay. And then there was a little twist that I didn't see coming, but I guess they weren't really advertising like that was going to happen. But then the cast, but then it just went downhill, and then it felt long, and it just felt like I'd seen it before, and the magician stuff didn't add to it or make it any different. I've seen successful procedurals. This is not one of them. And it's not even like at this point, it's not even there's not good procedurals anymore. I mean, there never were good procedurals because I hate procedurals, but like, you've already had like your NCIS, your CSI, stuff like that. Those have already happened. I mean, it's just, I don't know why it's still happening, but yeah, so, oh, okay. So like I said at the beginning, 5 out of 10, but it was also in the description, so you didn't need to watch this video. I only gave it a 5 out of 10 because I'm remotely interested in hearing what could happen after. The beginning was fine, and during it wasn't that great, but I guess I wasn't, I don't know. Maybe it should be a 4. It's hard. I'm giving it a 5 also because I'm pretending like it could end up as one of the procedurals that I like, and I'm just putting false hope into, oh, it's going to get really good the more it goes on. And like a lot of my favorite procedurals, they start out as procedurals and then they aren't. Whether it's in the first season or the first season is procedural, then the second season is it. So I'm pretending like it's going to end up like one of my favorite procedurals. When I say one of, I mean any of my favorite procedurals. I know it's not going to, but that false hope is also raising it up to a 5. But it's really more like a 4. Honestly, close to a 3 maybe even. It's really not that good. It's like exactly what you would expect. But if you like a procedural with like one twist where the guy that's helping is something different, then this will be right up your alley. But this just isn't, I don't think it's going to last. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Press that like button if you liked the video. Press that subscribe button if you liked me. Comment below. Have you seen this? If you have, what you think about it? Also, like, what do you think is the worst? Or what do you think is the best? Or what procedurals? Or procedurals like this where they just have the one element that tries to make it different. But also, something I thought of. I don't know why maybe I thought of it before, but I just thought of it today, and I thought I'd bring it up. I guess I would kind of classify. You could classify most of my videos that I post on this channel as like 10-minute podcasts, because they're like the feel of a podcast, except they're not formally a podcast, and I'm not meaning for them to be a podcast. I just end up talking so much that it goes that long. But that would calling them that would make me feel less sad that they're always so long, and I don't want them to be. But that's just an interesting little tidbit. But I mean, like I said, you didn't have to watch the video if you didn't want to. So if you're here, it's because you wanted to watch. But anyways, once again, sorry that it's so long. So once again, thanks for watching. I think that's all the ones as I needed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.